Hello, everybody, and welcome to Against the Ropes once again with the monster himself, ULY DIAZ.
Claudia Trejos in the building too.
How's that for a treat?
That's amazing.
I promised and I delivered.
That's right, you did. We got fine scotch and we got fine cigars, as promised, as delivered.
And can I just remind you all? No, not remind you. Tell you guys that this is all because I lost a debt. A bet, I should say, not a debt. This is a debt because I lost a bet.
That's right.
Okay, you know what? I am not gonna go any
Let's
further.
go Eagles.
Yes, I am going to say congrats. Man, that day, even though I was totally in red because I wanted to see history being made, but I gotta give all the credit where credit is due. Philadelphia, really, like, they showed what mastering the NFL in general.
That's right.
That defense was solid.
Solid defense, solid offense. Those guys came through on every angle of the game, and they blew out an amazing Kansas City Chiefs team.
Yeah, we got to give a lot of credit to these guys because it was a tough game. It was a chess match.
That's right.
And I enjoyed every minute. And you know what? Kudos to you. He who knows.
Hey,
cheers.
Salud.
Great game. But you know what? Another great game that's coming up. February 22nd, we're going to be once again in the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. We're going to be there.
We're going to be there. We're going to be sitting ringside, announcing and commentating on these fights, BYB 37 in Denver, Colorado.
I'm so excited. There's so much to be said about that.
There is so many great fights on this card. I'm really looking forward to this one because from these fights, the winners on these fights are going to be propelled to another level.
I agree 100%, especially because there's a whole lot of announcements coming up that we're going to touch base later on. But let's get into the nitty-gritty because you know who's coming back? El Cromañón himself, Sam Liera.
Beast.
He's a beast, and God knows we've missed him.
Yeah.
He hasn't been with us since 2023.
Yeah, he's been gone from BYB for a while. He's fought most of the top guys on the roster. I think he had a war with LT Nelson. He had a war with Jose Fernandez, the GOAT, which he won the belt from.
Yes.
And he's coming back for his second war against Ryan Jett.
Yes, this is a rematch. And let's not forget that was Ryan Jett's debut, and he lost by unanimous decision. And let me tell you something. Ryan Jett since has only had 2 losses. One against Cub and the other one against Sam. So I think there's a little different flavor to this rematch.
I agree, and hats off to Jett. He's fought the who's who on the BYB roster, and he's coming back to fight a top guy. And it's amazing that he debuted against Sam Liera, which is one of the top guys.
Now, you would know better than I do, just because I get a chance to call it. You've been there. When you've been out for such a long time, again, he hasn't fought with us since August of 2023. That's a long time.
Yes.
What can we say about ring rust?
Ring rust is a real thing, but it hits everybody different. So we're going to have to see on fight night how it hit Sam. Sam is a tough guy. He always comes to fight. He brings the fight. He's in your face. He hits hard. He's been in many bloody wars. So, there's nothing to take from him. We'll see what happens with this long layoff. But I think with an opponent like Ryan Jett in front of him, he's going to come and show out.
I always say, and perhaps this is not fair, but that's my take. You will always rise to the level of your opponent.
Absolutely.
And it's like a nice, clean dance partner. When you have somebody that can stay and keep up with your rhythm, the fight gets that much more exciting.
That's right.
And I think that's what Ryan Jett brings to the table.
He definitely brings that to the table. We've seen it in his other fights. He had an amazing war against Cub. If I'm not mistaken, it got stopped because of doctor stoppage. He was cut up.
He went down. I forget how many times, but he didn't want the fight to be stopped.
No, he's a beast, man. It doesn't matter how bloody his face is, or even I've seen him fight with his eyes shut, where he could hardly even see. So, it's going to be an amazing fight. Sam again has been in there with the who's who on the roster. We've seen him go against LT Nelson. We've seen him go against Ryan Jett before, which is an amazing fight against Jose Fernandez, where he won the belt. So
let's not forget Robert Cerna.
Robert Cerna was a hell of a fight as well.
Yes.
So we already know that Sam has the pedigree. We know Ryan has the pedigree. These guys are both going to meet in the Trigon February 22nd, and it's going to be fireworks, guys.
And guess what? When we're in Colorado, when you are of Mexican descent, you're almost fighting at home because the crowd is heavily Mexican or of Mexican descent. And there's something to be said. Do you even hear the fans when you're in the ring?
You know what? There's times where I do. It depends on how the fight's going. But I remember, for me, when I'm stepping in there and that first bell rings and the fight's on, you kind of shut everything out. You kind of hear your coach, but you're going into your memory bank of what you've been training, what the game plan is, and what you came to do. You know, and again, you have this guy. You're in a triangle, small triangle, and you have this guy throwing punches at you. So, yeah, it's hard to hear anything.
Which leads me again, for those that have yet to see the Trigon, the mighty Trigon, it's such a small space. I mean, you get a good idea of what happens. This is the cage, the equivalent of a Trigon, but in cage style. I mean, it's 60 degrees. How in the hell do you get out of there?
You
There's
don't.
no side stepping.
No, and you don't get out of there. You know, you get stuck in a corner. You better have your footwork, you know, up to date to get out of those corners.
And with that being said, another thing that I love about Ryan is his footwork. A lot of people just think it's about throwing hands, but the man knows how to walk the ring. He knows how to get out of those very complicated situations. We do have ropes in the Trigon, not like the case that we have here. When you're on the ropes and somebody's coming at you and sidestepping is so difficult, you have to just punch your way out.
That's right. But Ryan has great feet. He's great on his feet, great dancer. He knows how to use the Trigon well. He's been in there many times. So, again, guys, don't miss this fight. Sam Liera versus Ryan Jett. Calling it right now. Might be fight of the night.
I think so. I have that gut feeling.
Yeah.
But let's not forget who's next. Carlos Guerra, papa. Carlitos Guerra, el Diamante.
Diamante is tough. He's a diamond in the rough.
There is no rough on Carlos.
Yeah.
He's highly sharp and diagonal.
That's right. And he's coming to put on a show too. He's going up against AZ Batar.
You know him.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him.
I don't know much about him either. I know, he's coming to fight. And he better be ready against Carlos Guerra.
The one thing I love about Carlos Guerra, let's not forget, this is a gentleman that would set up 2 and 3 fights back to back. So it was not a matter of, I'm going to lose this fight and see what's going on. No, I can't lose because then I have other 2 fights coming up that I cannot miss.
That's right.
How does that work mentally?
Well, when you do this for a living and this is how you pay your bills, you got to have things in line, because the bills don't stop no matter what. No matter if you got cuts on your face or you lost a fight, your bills don't care. So you got to have these things lined up in order to know what what to expect in the future. So guys like him are dangerous. They fight because they need to put food on the table, and that's a dangerous guy to fight.
And the pedigree, he comes from, I don't even know what belt he is, but he's like up there. And then he goes on training camps forever. This is how he lives his life.
That's right.
So let's talk about lifestyle. This man eats, lives, and breathes.
That's right.
Combat sports.
He stays ready.
How important is that?
That's extremely important. We hit this on the last show as well. It's better to stay ready than to get ready, because these opportunities for fights and big fights and good paychecks come at any moment. You could be sitting down having dinner, you could be at a party, you could be out of town, and you'll get that call, hey, we got this opportunity for you, are you ready to go? And if you pass the opportunity up, you might go to the bottom of the list. So you got to take opportunities like this when they're presented.
This is another thing that I've noticed about people like Sam Liera and Carlos Guerra. They have this window of weight divisions. They can go up 5 pounds, they can go down 5 pounds. But we think of it, just losing 5 pounds on the scale, no big deal. But the difference between, let's say, 147, 154 is huge, not only in your output, but what you're getting back.
That's right, and it depends what you're walking around at, what your normal weight is. Sometimes it's better for guys to fight at this heavier weight because they got more power, they feel better, they get to eat more, they get to kind of be more relaxed during the camp. Other camps where you have to lose a lot of weight kind of puts a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress in losing weight and making weight for the fight. So, but these guys are tough, man. These guys fight at any weight. They'll fight anybody. So, these are their weight classes, and they're coming in to, put on a show.
And I'm gonna quick shout out to our matchmaker, Mel Valenzuela.
Mel's the man.
He's amazing. And the one thing he knows about these type of fighters is exactly what you said. No matter what weight division, no matter who they're facing, they just want to be out there. They just want to show off their skills and be entertaining. A lot of fighters have forgotten it's about being entertainment.
Absolutely. And the thing with BYB, and shout out to Mel. Mel's one of the best matchmakers I've ever, encountered. He always puts on great fights. There is no A side, there is no B side. There's a red corner and a blue corner, but both these guys are matched very evenly, and these fights could go either way.
Well, what's next in the roster? Because I know it's a stacked fight. Obviously, somebody that you know very well.
Very well. He's my
Robert
stablemate.
Duran Jr., your stablemate. You've trained with him.
Many times.
And needless to say, his pedigree, personal pedigree. I mean, can you really just have that in your DNA?
I mean, if you're into fighting at all, you know who his father is, Robert Duran, which is a legend, not only in boxing, but just in the fight world itself, in combat sports. Robert Duran Jr. takes after his father, got great feet, he's got great hands, he's fast as can be. You know, he's facing Joshua Sykes, another guy I've seen fight a couple times.
Seen him.
Very tough guy, he comes in ready to fight. Again, it's hard to call this one, you know, but Robert, you know, again, he's a stablemate. I've trained with him many times. I've sparred with him many times. And I tell you that since he's made the transition from boxing to bare knuckle boxing, he comes hungry. He's ready to fight. This will be his third fight for BYB, and I think he's ready to make a statement.
But Yuli, now this is a personal question that obviously only people that are close to him would know. When you carry such weight in a last name, in a legacy like Duran, will that also transcend the sport? You know, going from boxing, everybody knows Robert Duran Jr., Robert Duran. Will that transcend into bare knuckle?
I think it will for Robert Duran Jr. just because he's trying to make his own name. He knows the weight he carries with his dad's name on him. He puts on his own show. He always comes to fight. He's one of the toughest guys ever to step in the ring, to Trigon, anywhere he comes to fight. And I think he stepped into BYB, into bare knuckle, to make his own name. He knows his dad has a legacy in boxing. He wants to show everybody that he's going to make his own name in bare knuckle.
And when you have such deep roots into boxing, because that's basically his root sport. Let's be clear here. Even though we think they're similar, there's a lot of differences between one and the other.
Absolutely.
And that transition is not always easy. He has done a very flawless transition, but the higher he gets into level of opponents, will that fact that he's such a clean boxer, would that become a little complicated, especially when he's facing somebody like Sykes, who's not as technically sound? It's like dancing with somebody who's not up to par. Like, the footwork is not totally there. He's a little like slick and crafty. In my book, as a commentator, that can make the fight complicated.
Well, we saw in Robert's last fight, he kind of picked up the pace a little late in the fight. He ended up losing the fight because by the time he picked up the pace, it was a little too late. But what we also saw in Robert in his first and second fight is that he gets dropped, he gets hurt, he gets right back up and continues the fight. And it looks to me like he gets better as the fight goes on.
He's one of those that the deeper waters he's in, the better he swims.
He's a great white.
You know who reminds me of? Good old Tito Trinidad.
Yeah.
He would go down the first 3 rounds ooh, except Bernard Hopkins.
That's right.
We're not going to talk about that.
No, but some guys are like that where they don't know they're in a fight until they get hit. And once they get hit, they're in a fight. You got to be careful.
Oh, the lady.
Yes.
For those who didn't understand, because I had the cigar in my mouth, the ladies.
The ladies.
We have Leilani and Peralta, Elena Peralta. Helen Peralta obviously is coming with a perfect record. 3 wins, 2 of them by way of knockout. She's Dominican, but she's trained most of her life in Brazil. So she's into heavy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Again, another transition that caught my attention because you and I know footwork, stance, completely different. Yet it has worked for her like a charm.
Well, we know that Helen was on the Tough House, the Ultimate Fighter for UFC. She has a background in martial arts, combat sports. I've seen her fight many times. I think she's, as tough as can be. She's fought one of the best pound for pound, one of the GOATs in women, and Cristina Ferreira. She beat Cristina. So Leilani better come with some fire. I know this is a rematch for them as well. So there must be some undercurrent here of some bad blood, some undercurrent that they're gonna both bring to the table. Helen is out of Iowa. I know that right now in Iowa, you probably got snow up to your eyebrows, so there's nothing to do but train. And
and
both
remember
ladies.
That first fight, that was almost a year ago to the day.
Really?
Last time they fought was in February 10th, 2024.
Wow.
So they've had a year to season.
That's right.
And to, I would say, allow that bad blood to brew.
Right, and kind of study each other and see where one went wrong, where the other, what went right. And Helen's last fight, she beat Medina for the title. So right now she's holding the title. There's going to be a big fight, a rematch for a belt.
And let's not forget who Monica Medina was. That was the first time we had a solid trilogy between two ladies.
Yep.
And Patty took the best part of that trilogy. But what we learned about Monica Medina was grit.
Yeah.
That grit, you don't teach it, you don't learn it. Either you have it or you don't.
And you don't find out that you have it until you're in that position.
How deep is going to have Helen Peralta going to dig in order to face somebody like Leilani, who's another slick fighter?
Well, there's only one way to find out, on February 22nd, under those lights in the Trigon. We're going to have to find out.
Just a tad. What does she need to do to take this win? Because the first one ended no contest. It was a controversial no contest just because the fight had to end before we could actually judge it, whatever. And because of rules and regulations, there was no score. But now, like you said, they've had other fights. They've had the opportunity to test their skills in bare knuckle, which is a completely different animal. But now there's a lot more than just a win.
Absolutely. And again, Helen is holding the belt. If she fought like she fought last time against Medina, which she got a quick win, if I'm not mistaken, it was either the first or second round, decisive. She came in, she was tough, she was aggressive. She, put her hands on Medina, ended up winning the belt. If she comes in the fight like that against Mota, I see her being victorious.
Yeah, you were right. It ended up in the second round. And I just want to go real quick. I'm sorry, I just got into your shot, but that's okay. When we talk about Leilani, she's only had one fight, but let's talk about her pedigree. This is a woman that has a long history in the sport. And when you have that over your shoulder, it's almost like a chip that you have to pay respect to the type of experience that you have. Plus, she's Brazilian, like born and raised in Brazil. Her whole environment is all based on the sport itself. You cannot let your team down. You cannot let your not even just your corner team, your team in general, your stable. When you have stablemates that are supporting you, dude, you're not just fighting for yourself. That's what I'm saying.
That's right. Yeah, you're not fighting for yourself. You're fighting for country, for pride, for your name. It's going to be a great matchup. You got two amazing fighters. Leilani's is going to be her second fight in bare knuckle. This will be Helen's fourth. She's already holding the belt. Leilani's got the hunger and the grit, and she's obviously, like anybody else, when they're in this sport, they're going after that belt. Helen Peralta's in her way holding it. It's a great matchup. Again, thank you, Mel, for this.
And I just want to make a side note. Most people think that when we talk about women in combat sports, there's not much to be said about it. They're not going to be competitive.
Oh, no.
What is your point of view on that?
Oh, no. It's the women, to me, sometimes, a lot of the times, the women's fights, especially in bare knuckle, are a lot better than the men's fights at times. If you'd be surprised to see that these women will be bloody, bumped up, cut, everything, and they keep going and going and going when a lot of guys would have quit. These women keep, bite down on their mouthpiece, put their chin down, put their hands up, and keep grinding till the last bell rings.
You know what? I am just going to add to that because I remember I come from the OG when I had a chance to see women in combat sports starting.
Right.
Back in the day when Lucia Riker, remember, Layla Ali, Christy Martin, and technically they were not the best. And I have to add, there was not much competition. Now, any division will go deep. Perhaps not the, heavyweight or light heavyweights. We don't have that many women in those divisions,
right.
But we have women in those divisions now, which shows me that there's a lot more to grow in women's combat sports than men. And that's why they're so much hungrier. And they're willing to just go out there and prove themselves worthy of a title. Where sometimes, no disrespect, but men, they've already been there. They already know what it is. So it's like, okay, this is what I do. Women have to prove themselves twice.
That's right.
Not just because they have the skills, but because they belong.
Right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think this is the ladies are going to have the big moment that night. They're the co-main event for a huge, fight night. And I think that's where they're going to be able to shine.
I'm looking forward to see what Patty says when she walks in because she's going to be one of our guests.
Yeah.
Because again, anybody that takes a win in this card is looking forward to title opportunities. Yeah. And I'm just, the book is just starting to be written. And
That's
I'm
right.
so excited to see all these names writing themselves into the history books of bare knuckle.
As am I. I can't wait for February 22nd, guys. Make sure you tune in.
Okay. let's get down to the main dish.
Let's do it.
La pièce de résistance. I love this kid, Henry Gigliotti. The reason I like him is because that kid is throwing punches and he has a smile on his face all the time, even if he's getting punched.
Yeah, he's talking, all the way through the fight. He's talking to his opponent. What I like about Harry is he's great on his feet. He has great movement. He's one of the guys who knows how to get out of those corners very easily. He uses the trigon very well. He has great boxing skills. Knows how to use his distance. He's a tall, long guy. He knows how to use his distance. John Bernard, I know for many years, he's a great fighter as well. Has fought every combat sport. He's a great boxer too. His size, he's smaller than Harry. So
5'6" against 5'10". That's a big difference.
It's a big difference, and I'm sure Harry's reaches are quite longer as well. He's gonna have to, find out how to get inside on Harry and use, his boxing skills to get in on him and, try to find out where to land.
And when we're talking about seasoning, I mean, Henry has been in boxing, was born into boxing, he's been raised in boxing. I mean, his grandfather, his father, his whole family's involved. Whereas John, for those that don't know Bernard, I'm going to just throw a little nugget right here. He's an IT technician.
Yes.
I mean, the man can tear apart any type of system, computer, you name it. And he decided to do that, put his dream on a shelf because he wanted to provide for his family. Right. Once that was settled, he moved to Hawaii where he wanted to live. And that's when he said, okay, I took care of my family. It's my turn.
No, he came from Hawaii. He lives in North Carolina.
Oh, now he lives in, you're right.
Yeah. He came from Hawaii. He's in North Carolina. He's an IT guy. Very well spoken, very soft spoken, very smart dude. And like you said, he put his fight career on hold for a minute. He got his IT career underway. Now he put that on hold. Well, actually, he still does it, and now he's training. And he's been doing amazing in the Trigon. He's 4-0 in the Trigon. He's going for his belt against Harry Gigliotti. His last fight against Harold McQueen was a tough one where he got dropped, got up through adversity, and ended up beating McQueen.
You know what? You just said something very important. I'm going to revert back to Tyson's favorite sentence, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
That's right.
Well, Bernard had a plan, got up, and executed to his best because Harold McQueen is no joke. This is a born and raised fighter, inside and out of any fighting surface. Right. He's a fighter since he was young, adversities in life. So this man, I love Harold McQueen. He brings this anger. It's like inside fire. Yeah. And Bernard took everything with a stride. It was one punch at a time. He didn't overextend himself. And again, not the tallest guy, which leads me to my next question, because again, this is a very small surface. Let's talk about jabs. When you have such long arms like Henry, you need a lot of space in order to bring that jab back so you can whip it out. How is that gonna be a factor in such a small surface like the Trigon against somebody who's so small and so compact like Bernard?
When it comes to bare knuckle, the jab is huge. They said a jab will take you around the world,
yes.
And bare knuckle will take you around the world 2 times just because you got no gloves on. And a good jab or 2 will cut you open and will make, can make a big decision in a fight. So the jab, and Harry is known for his jab. He's very well, he has a very good jab, very long. He knows how to use it well. So again, John's going to have to find out how to get on the inside and fight from the inside.
What if you smother yourself? Because that happens a lot. If I'm pouncing on you and just, closing that gap, I still need the space.
Well, I think the smothering will work out in John's favor because Harry, from what I've seen, is more of a distance fighter. He likes to keep his distance. He likes to use that jab. He moves a lot. So if John starts smothering him, getting him kind of tired, where he's not going to be able to, keep his hands up or use the jab as much, then John will take over from there, I think.
From what you're saying, this is going to be, how do I adjust my aggression versus your defense?
I think John has to make it a dirty fight. I think he has to make it a dirty fight. He has to get in there.
Do you think he's got it? Because he's so technical.
He is very technical, but he's very smart when it comes to fighting, to reading fighters. He knows what he has to do. I'm thinking if I was in John's team, he'd know not to fight Harry from the outside because Harry's longer. Mm-hmm. He could use that jab to hurt him. I think he has to make it a dirty fight, get in there, smother him, hold him, just basically smother him and get all over him and use the inside to win the fight.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because, again, we just mentioned fourth fight. This is going to be his fifth fight for Bernard. And he's got a perfect record, 4 wins, 4 knockouts.
That's right.
And like you said, against Harold McQueen, who is no joke, he got up, took it literally all the way to the edge, and took the win by a knockout.
That's right.
At the very last minute.
Right.
Shows grit and decision. Sometimes you could be very powerful, you could be gritty, you could be technically, but sometimes mentally, you're not capable of putting it all together.
No, John has a great mental game for the fight game. He never gets desperate. Even when he's hurt, he knows how to keep his composure, keeps his, he keeps his head on his shoulders, and he sticks to the game plan. And that's what he did, against the last 4 people he's knocked out.
4 wins by way of knockout. So we're looking to, I don't think this is going to go the distance though.
I don't think so either.
Just because. They're gonna put everything in that mighty triangle.
It's a 6-round, 3-minute per round fight for the championship belt. Both these guys are hungry. Harry's hungry to keep the belt. John's hungry to get it. So, again, great matchup.
And it's our main event. And with that being said, going back to the ladies, because that's a 2-minute round. This is just between you and I. Do you think that extra minute would allow women's combat sports in general add more knockouts to their records?
Absolutely. Especially in bare knuckle. You add that extra minute, there's just time to do more work, time to do more damage. It would definitely, in my opinion, add knockouts to the ladies roster.
Sometimes I speak to the likes of Barbie Juarez, who's a long career in boxing, and she says, and I also see her point, I don't get paid enough to go 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
I mean, it's fair. It depends on who you talk to, and what they're getting paid. Everybody, we all do this to put food on the table, put roofs on our head, and keep our children, and our family happy. So, if that's how you feel like you're not getting paid enough for the extra minute, then hey, the ladies get 2 minutes anyways.
And you know what? Talking to Clarissa, she says, I'm all about it because I train for 3 minutes.
That's right.
But I know for a fact that at my level of competition, not everybody has the ability to go 3 rounds in competition, maybe in training. Is it really that much of a difference?
It's huge. It's a huge difference. I fought for different promotions, which is 2-minute rounds. And yeah, it seems like you go on forever when it's 2-minute rounds. Once you put that extra minute, it gets a little tougher.
So you're short of breath and stuff?
Yeah, you could be, especially if you, with the adrenaline, the crowd, the lights, everything that goes into a fight that's not actually fighting kind of drains you as well. So if you're not ready for it, it could be a big factor.
I remember one time somebody said to me they had access to the little clock, and it was like, I guess they felt like they were getting a beat down, and then all of a sudden they turned to the monitor and said, I still have another 45 seconds.
Yeah. You'll see during the fights, you'll see fighters look up at the clock. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this thing.
It's like I've been going on for 2.5 minutes and I still have another 30 minutes to go.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough.
And talking about money. So we're going to change gears real quick just because this has been going on forever. We were expecting an announcement from Saul Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing. Be it that you agree or not, we're going to just do it for our sake. Yeah. Canelo just signed a 2-year, 4-fight contract with His Excellency Turki Ali Sheikh. Actually with Riyadh season. He's going to fight Skoll in May and then hopefully plans for September against Bob Crawford. Is Canelo in that position? Do you agree that he can walk away from what Jake Paul says was a contract that was already signed and then move on to another fight?
So when it comes to that, I think Canelo could do whatever he wants when it comes to boxing. I think he's put himself and he's fought himself into a position that he has the major word when it comes to these things. Now, a fight with him and Jake Paul, I think every eye in the world would be on that fight. So who's not to say that in the future it won't happen? I know it's supposed to happen now, coming up in May. As everybody sees in social media, there's some controversy going on there. He's fighting Skoll now, which is a Cuban guy fighting out of Germany. So that's going to be a hell of a fight. Skoll is 23-0. I'm a huge Canelo fan, but he's getting older in his career. These guys are up and comers. And, hopefully everything goes well in this May fight, so he can make it to the to the Bud Crawford fight.
Which is the fight we all want to watch.
That's the fight I'm looking forward to. I'm a big Bud Crawford fan. I think he's a scientist in the ring. And again, I'm a huge Canelo fan, but when it comes to that fight, I think Bud has more tools in his box to come out with the win.
Well, we talk about intangibles maybe because of the hunger and the opportunities that were not easily given to him due to the fact that he was fighting in a division. You know, the one thing that I am going to compare this to was back when we had Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. We could never decide who was better than whom, or if we're going to talk about soccer, you know, who's better, Messi or Ronaldo or Cristiano. Why? Because they were both playing and participating in the same era.
Right.
Bud Crawford being, like you said, a scientist, a master at the skill. And Canelo has an uncanny ability of making most of his opponents look pedestrian.
That's right. I don't think he can do that to Bud. You know, Bud's too skillful. And Bud and Canelo have had amazing careers. I just think Bud hasn't had the shine on him like Canelo has and the opportunities that Canelo has. And I think this is his great opportunity, his grand opportunity to show the world that he is the pound for pound GOAT. And
when we talk about a place like, or a company like Riyadh Season, that is bringing the best against the best, and it's bringing, you know, huge sports entertainment to Saudi Arabia. I've had the opportunity to be there. What do you think about bare knuckle in Riyadh?
I think that's just a matter of time before we show up there and take over Riyadh with bare knuckle. I think it's coming soon. We've already been in Dubai, so we've already touched the Middle East. I think, you know, bare knuckle, especially BYB, is the fastest growing sport. It's doing so well. It's doing so great that it's just a matter of time before we get a call from the prince over there to tell us to come over there and fight in Riyadh. And we're waiting for that phone call from His Excellency Turki Sheikh. We're waiting. Patiently. Turk, you got my number. So now you got it. And by the way, we have a huge announcement. Yeah, we do. Guess what? We're going to welcome all the viewership from Vice. Vice. Huge. Vice is a huge channel, been around a long time. They picked us up, and we're going to be able to showcase bare knuckle on the Vice network. So big shout out to Vice, big shout out to BYB joining and collaborating with Vice to bring bare knuckle to a bigger demographic, to a bigger view. And it's awesome. That's where I see our opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia growing, because now we're going to be in more people's eyes, on more people's radars. And I think, you know, we're going to get to the point where Saudi has no choice and no other way to look but to say, you know what, we want you guys to come over and put on a show. There you go, from your lips to God's ears. Amen. Because He's got an ability to just make things happen. That's right. So we're going to make it happen. Mr. Make It Happen here. Yes, I'm going to change your name. So we're done. All we have to do is invite you to join us. Don't forget, February 22nd, all the way from Mile High City in Denver. That's right. ULY the Monster DIAZ and Claudia Trejos we're going to be there, and join us because it's going to be very exciting. That's right. Come take a look at Contra las Cuerdas live and Against the Ropes live. We appreciate you guys always tuning in. Catch us next week. Thank you. Till then, bye.